Entertainment Soldier here, and I'm back to talk about Star Trek Picard, Season 3, Episode 2, and my thoughts on this episode. I think it's an okay episode. I don't think it's fantastic. I think the episode was kind of slow, and we were kind of dealing with predictable stories again, especially with Picard figuring out the kid's his son, which was flipping obvious for ages. But I think the episode as a whole is okay. We got a returning cast member from Next Gen that came in this episode, which was fucking fantastic, because I've been waiting to see that person for ages. Great to see that person back. But Shaw is an absolute wanker. I mean, I hate this character. He is Now listen, he is by the book. I will give him that. But in this episode, it seems to be he's by the book and gutless at the same time. I know he cares about his crew, but there is a point where you can't just give in because the situation looks bad. And he is not getting better as a character for me. Especially in this episode, which is... I just don't like this character, sure. But most of the other now Raffi's arc is actually getting more interesting, and I also got it wrong about who was running her, because, well, I'll go into spoilers, but I was very surprised with who was running her, and it actually makes sense, and that's what I like about the show. Everything kind of makes sense. Nothing seems to be, woke. Nothing seems to be stupid. Everybody on the ship of the Titans seems to, be professional, which I'm absolutely loving. The Jack guy, who's Picard's son. Again, if you don't know Jack is Picard's son by now, where have you been? But I like Jack. I think he's an interesting character. Find out his backstory as well. Yeah, interesting. Episode as a whole, again, bit slow in areas. I would like to have seen them get to where we obviously knew they were going to get to faster. And I am absolutely annoyed at the ending, because I want to see more. And that's what you need that's what you've needed with Star Trek right now. You want to get to this situation where you want to see more, you want to watch more. And Picard's doing that. So this series is definitely a massive improvement on everything New Trek, because it's exciting to watch. You listen to every person, and everybody isn't got their head up their arse, which they've had this problem in every New Trek series. They even had that problem in Strange New Worlds. And Strange New World isn't bad, but it's not great. But Picard, it seems to be more focused on the story. It seems to want to show you that they're taking this seriously. But we still had the problem with the bad language and the cigarette shit. I can't stand that crap. I had that problem with the fucking captain of the first Picard series. I forgot his fucking name. When he was smoking cigars. Now I have a problem with this bad guy woman smoking as well. It's again, I thought we got past this and all the other Star Treks, but apparently we have to go back to this shit again with the smoking and the swearing. The swearing is kind of childish to me, because Star Trek's never needed that. I know they did it in the films, I get it, but it was very rare that they ever swore. And again, it just seems childish to have characters swear. I get it, but I could do without it, and the cigarette shit. But yeah, this episode was good. I'm a bit annoyed at the ending because I didn't get what I wanted to see, and I'll go into that in spoilers. But episode as a whole, I'm gonna give it a 8 out of 10, mainly because of the returning character, he's my favourite. I'm sorry. The person is my favourite character in Star Trek. That person is just amazing, and I'm happy they are back. So, it's an 8 out of 10 for me. I think it's a fantastic episode. No, not fantastic. I think it's a good episode. And I want to watch more. So let's go into spoilers now. If you don't want to hear spoilers, leave in 3, 2, 1. Now, I'm going to do Raffi's story first because I kind of think getting her stuff out of the way is kind of easier, so we can then focus on the main story, and that's what I want to do from now on. And I also want to talk about the returning character as well, because him being back is amazing. But yeah, so Raffi failed at stopping the terrorist attack on the Starfleet recruitment building, because that's what it turns out to be. Raffi contacts her contact in Starfleet Intelligence. Again, I can't believe who it is. I really can't. I'm so happy he's back. I really am. He's a great fucking character. Oh my god. Anyway, she wants to investigate the attack on the Federation building, but the person who is her handler tells her she needs to accept Starfleet's findings, because Starfleet says the person who attacked that building is a Romulan terrorist called, what's his name? Tulsi or something? Tulsi? A Romulan terrorist. And that's who they're blaming it on. Now, we are getting a lot of information from Raffi's side about there's something up with Starfleet. There might be some sort of intelligence operation or something, and it might be something to do with someone in Starfleet. Now, some people on the internet have said, is it the worm people from season 1 of Star Trek? And we also got that kind of link from Jack when he says he got attacked by Klingons, Federation and Rangers. So apparently people are saying it's the worm people that have come back, and they might have infiltrated Starfleet again. Now that would be very interesting, because that is a returning bad guy I've wanted to see since I was a kid, because they never talked about those aliens ever again in Next Gen or in any Star Trek. So if they are bringing that bad guy back, that would be massively interesting, and I would give the show massive credit if it did that. Anyway, so Raffi doesn't accept Starfleet's findings that it was a Romulan terrorist who used this weapon. She says even if he did use the weapon, he's not the one who stole it. And she wants to go and investigate more so she can find out who stole the weapon and who really attacked the Federation. But her handler says no. She disobeys orders, heads down to the planet and meets with her ex-husband. Now, this was an interesting story for me because you rarely see this in Star Trek. You really rarely see this. Which is the father being stronger than the mother. Because apparently the father was also a druggie. He was also an addict. But he kicked it because he loved his son that much. And Raffi just could never. And when Raffi asks, how did you kick the drug? He even says, I loved our son that much, I didn't want to ruin his life with drugs. Why couldn't you do the same thing? And Raffi's gone to her ex because he has an in with the person Raffi suspects is the one who sold the weapon, who is a Ferengi called Sneed. Now, Sneed is a gangster, basically. He deals in the black market, weapons, drugs, whatever you want, he can get. And so Raffi wants to get a meeting with him so she can get some information out of him. The husband agrees, but he says, I'm going to give you a choice. I'm either going to get you a meeting with Sneed, or you can choose to go see your son. Giving her the most impossible choice, which I thought was absolutely ridiculous. Like, she's a Starfleet intelligence officer. She needs to speak to the guy who sold the weapons. I kind of think family issues need to be held back till later. So I kind of thought he was a bit of a dick for doing that. But you can understand what he's trying to do. Like, he wants her to choose the son, get better for the son, so they can have a relationship with each other. So again, showing a good father, which again is very rare these days in, well, entertainment to see that. But Raffi chooses Sneed because she has to, and the ex gets a meeting sorted out between them. Raffi goes undercover to talk to Sneed. I liked Sneed as a bad guy character. He seems smart, and he was just entertaining to watch. I liked the scene between them. So Raffi pretends to be a part of the Romulan terror group and says she works for Talos, whatever his name is. And Sneed's pretty much, well, I kind of think you smell like a Federation spy. Raffi hands over some valuable gems to him to say, listen, I'm buying information from you. All I want is just to know who really bought those weapons and who really used them. But Sneed pretty much pulls out a head and says, I know you don't work for Teller because I've got his head here, so who do you really work for? He makes her take some drugs to prove that she's not Starfleet, and she does, which is massively dangerous for an addict, because this could send her down a massively bad path. And, well, Sneed's pretty much figured out she's not a druggie, and figures out she's next druggie as well, and realises that she's fighting the drug, but he knows that she can't really stand or do anything, so he tries to, I think, attack her, but then she grabs a knife, stabs him in the hand. His guards are about to shoot Raffi, and then Worf comes in and kills every single one of the guards and cuts off Sneed's head. Now, one problem with this scene is, Worf, why are you cutting off Sneed's head? You kind of need him for the information he has. But it was still a great scene. I love the fact Worf is back. Worf is the best fucking next-gen character. I don't want any arguments here. He's the best next-gen character. So it was great to see him come back. Great to see him, stabbing all those guys. Again, not a fan of the blood. Could do without it, but I'm not that bothered. I'm glad he's back. And it turns out Worf is Raffi's handler. So it is Starfleet controlling this. Well, not controlling, but so it is Starfleet intelligence. It's not Lord controlling this, because I thought it was it. I thought it was going to turn out he's using Raffi in a bad way, and he was going to use entrap her or blame this all on her and get her hunted down by Starfleet. But it turns out it's Worf, and it's great to see him back. He grabs Raffi and gets her out of there, and that's how Raffi's episode ends. And again, I loved her scenes. I think it's very interesting to see the underworld of Starfleet. So yeah, great part of the episode. I like what they're doing with Raffi. I really do. I think she's watchable. I mean, I'm pretty surprised. I hated her. In all the other seasons of Picard, I've hated her character. I thought she was the most unnecessary character. And in this episode, same again. She makes sense. She's not annoying. She's focused. And I get the family stuff is not an issue anymore because they're building on it. They're not just having us worry about Raffi or feel sorry for Raffi. Raffi's got a job to do. She does it. And I like that. So let's get on the main story now, which is Jack. So, we go, beginning of the episode, we go 2 weeks earlier from the mysterious ship appearing, and we're with Jack, who is trying to get on some random planet to give them medical supplies and other things. A bunch of rangers come from the planet to investigate the ship. Tell Jack he's going to get boarded. He agrees. They check the ship. They find all the medical supplies and some Romulan ale and some weapons. It turns out Jack isn't just a doctor. He's also an arms dealer and, well, he's a man of all trades, basically. So Jack bribes the Rangers by offering them weapons. He says this should be enough to help you in your fight. They agree, they take the weapons, but it turns out the leader of the Rangers is working for somebody called... Now, I don't know what it's called, hold on. The Marked Woman. That's what the person says. He communicates to he goes to his communicator, he says, tell the Marked Woman we have Jack, or Jack's been sighted or something. So it turns out there's another woman called the Marked Woman. Now this might be the bad guy from that ship. Don't know yet. Because she doesn't... Well, we'll get into that when we see her. But yeah. So we then go back to where we were previously with the ship appearing out of nowhere. And Picard tries to send a message over. They're getting blocked. And, Picard then grabs a bunch of transporter inhibitors so they cannot just transport Jack over to the ship. Because it turns out they're after Jack. This mysterious ship is just after one person, Jack. So Picard puts some transporter blockers basically on around the ship, stop them transporting Jack over. They're now trying to figure out a way to escape, basically, because the ship's running out of power and they haven't got enough weapons on the ship to be able to fight back against that massive ship. So they try to send a message to the Titan, and this is where we go back to the Titan, and this is where we see Shaw acting like a bitch. Again, I get he has to protect his crew. I get it. But your Starfleet, you've just got a signal from two seriously high up members of Starfleet who are asking for your help. And all you can do is bitch. I mean, it's insane. He won't go in to help Federation officers because they're outside the Federation. They're still Federation, you prick. And you've got Seven there trying to get him to do the right thing. And what annoys me is the way she gets Shaw to go help Picard and Riker is she pretty much flatters him by saying, listen, you could be the officer who let two legends die, or the captain to let two legends die, or you could be the captain who saved two legends. So apparently that works because the Titan then warps in, because the big ship fires a bunch of photon torpedoes, destroys the shuttle, so they're pretty much stuck. The ship then puts a tractor beam onto the small Federation ship. Titan comes in and breaks the transporter link and tries to beam the four of them over to the Titan, but because of Picard's transport inhibitors, they can't do that. So Picard grabs a phaser, destroys all the transport inhibitors, and they beam to the Titan, where they then get contacted by the big ship, and it turns out it's a woman called Vardic. I think that's her name, Vardic. And she is a bounty hunter who is after Jack, because apparently Jack is a wanted criminal and there's a big bounty on his head. Now, I don't know if that's her main reason for going after him. Maybe there's a bigger picture, maybe there's something else in the background. I don't know, but that's what she says she's there for. She gives, she starts talking to the crew, she talks to Picard, but then she says something interesting about Shaw and his mental condition, because apparently he's going through, he went through something big in his past that gave him mental issues. Now, the thing I've been thinking about with Shaw, and the fact he doesn't like Seven or Picard, because he does say stuff about Riker, but his main hatred seems to be focused at Picard, and I think Shaw might be a survivor of Wolf 359, the battle. Now, if they do that with Shaw's character, and that would be massive for me, because Picard has never really had to face what he's done at Wolf 359. I get people going to say, what about when he went to his brother's house and had the meltdown with his brother in the field? I get that. And I know he did that great scene with Cisco in the first episode of Deep Space Nine. I get that. But they were always really short. And I want to see, I would have loved, I just want to see a scene where Picard has to face somebody, like a really big scene of him facing somebody from Starfleet that he nearly killed. Again, it's only been Cisco we've ever seen. Nobody else. If we get a scene like that between Shaw and Picard, I would say that would be an amazing scene. But yeah, so Vardic gives them an ultimatum, says, listen, hand over Jack or I'll destroy your ship. And to prove that I'm not lying, scan my ship. And we pretty much get a scan of the ship, and she's pretty much way too powerful for them to defeat. And she even shows them how powerful she is by tractor beaming the smallest Federation ship and throws it at the Titan, which I kind of thought was a badass scene. I have to admit that. But she gives them an hour to hand over Jack, and that's all they get. Now, I wouldn't have done that personally, because again, you're giving Picard an hour to make a plan to beat you. Or at least that's what I think they should have done in this episode. But Shaw, oh, I hate Shaw. Again, I hope he is better in the future, but right now, he is annoying me. So the next scene is Picard and Riker questioning Jack and asking what the hell is going on, who are you, you know, why does this bounty hunter want you? Jack says he doesn't know. Oh, I forgot the scene between Shaw and Seven. Yeah, this is also a dumb decision. So Shaw gets, he's pissed off at Seven, calls her out and says, you just put this crew and this ship at risk. You put us in massive danger. And he just has a little bitch fit at Seven now. Which again, I got annoyed at Seven last week for doing that. I'm going to get annoyed at Shaw for doing this exact same thing. Be a fucking captain and realise you're in the situation now. Bitching about what Seven's done earlier is not going to help. You got to make a plan to get the fuck out of here so you don't get killed and your crew killed. So we go back to Picard and Riker questioning Jack. Then Shaw walks in, tells Picard who he really is, which is he's apparently a con artist. He's got a bunch of names and he's wanted on a bunch of planets. And Shaw says he's thinking about handing him over to the bounty hunter. Riker says that's not right, that's not how you do things in the Federation. And he says, well, we're not really in the Federation and I have to think about my crew. Again, I like the fact he's thinking of his crew. Does he have to be a dick about it, though? And anyway, he tells the Federation security to arrest and put in the brig. And then for some stupid reason, he then, well, puts Seven in the brig, basically, well, not in the brig, pretty much just takes away Seven's duty thing or whatever and says, you're not working now, you can go somewhere else. Right in the middle of a situation where you are dealing with a massive threat, you're going to take away your second officer. That is the dumbest decision you could make at this point of a fucking, well, of the situation. Like, why would you take away your right arm, which Seven is? She's your second in command. She's pretty fucking important on this ship. I just thought it was dumb. Shaw makes a lot of mistakes in this episode. And yeah, he's really pissing me off. So, Riker and Picard head into a turbo lift. And then we get this scene between them both where Riker looks at Picard and says, dude, you realise that's your son, right? It's basically what he said. It's like, you realise that's your kid. Can we stop pretending that like, he's not your son? And Picard's like, I don't know that. It's like, come on, dude. The accent alone. But everything else kind of ties together and says, he's your son. Would you just admit that? Oh, it's just... Again, it was annoying just to get Picard just to say he's the son. I mean, he is the father. Again, why not just take the DNA test, for God's sake? You're on a Federation staff ship. I don't think it'll take that long. So Picard goes down to see his son and question him about all this criminal shit he's done. Jack says, listen, I've done bad shit, but my mum was next to me all the time, pushing me, helping me. I didn't help bad people, I helped good people. I'm basically a freedom fighter. That's what Picard calls him. Also, you're a freedom fighter then. And Jack says, listen, I do what I have to do to help people. I help people live. That's what a doctor's supposed to do. So, there you go. So Picard then leaves his son to try and figure out what he's going to do. Picard tries to get through to Shaw, but Shaw's really not having it. And then Jack somehow pulls something out of his wrist and puts it on the end of the what's it called? The force field of the brig, and asks the security officer to tell him how strong the force field is so he can take it down. And he does. The officer tells him. He tries to tell him to also stick his tongue out to check if the force field is working. But Jack just turns off the force field and decks the fucking security officer, runs out the brig and escapes. And then the ship's then alerted to the fact Jack's escaped, and the captain Shaw sends security after him, and now pretty much wants to hand over Jack to the bounty hunter. Sorry. We then get another call from Vardic, who pretty much tells them your time is running out, and if you don't do as you're told... Oh, this is the time where she tells us about the weapons that she has, and basically the Titan has no chance of beating her ship. And she tells us the name of the ship, which is called Sharik. The Sharik, that's what it is. Shrik, or whatever. And she says it's called that from a bird who just pecks at you. And that's what she plans to do to the Titan. She'll destroy parts of the ship and just destroy enough of the ship to pretty much put the to tell the crew that was it worth it to not give me Jack, for you to lose this much of your ship, to lose that many crewmen. So it's basically a signal to Shaw, hand over Jack or I'm going to make you pay, and make you pay in blood, basically. So she ends communication. Shaw pretty much wants to hand over Jack. Jack then runs to transporter, and Seven finds him because she didn't stay in her room. She did her job, which I thought was very good. And turns out Jack is trying to hand himself over to Vardic so he can save the ship. And at this same point, you have Riker going down to the med bay to wake up Crusher. And he does. And he brings her to the bridge, Beverly, and Picard looks at her. And we can all tell what he's asking with his eyes. And, you know, Beverly pretty much nods her head, and Picard realises, yes, that's my son. I'm not going to let him hand himself over. Shaw then orders Jack to be handed over to the bounty hunter, and Picard says, belay that, I'm Admiral and I'm taking over the ship. And he pretty much takes over the ship and denies Vardic, well, tells Vardic basically by firing torpedoes at her, and then Shaw gets the ship ready for a battle, and the Titan runs into the field, and we're going to get a battle next week. That's what pissed me off at the end. Like, I want to see the Titan in a ship-to-ship fight with this Shrek ship. And I got so annoyed that I'm going to have to wait a week to see that. And yeah, so Shaw gets the ship ready, they head out, and the episode ends with Vardic going crazy happy that now she gets to attack the ship. And they get to have this big fight that's going to be I think a copy of a Wrath of Khan. That end battle they're going to do again, which I kind of think is going to be very interesting to watch. And that's how the episode ends. I think it's a great episode. Not great episode. I think it's a good episode. I liked a lot of the episode. I love the fact we got Worf back. And I can't wait for next week's episode because we're going to get a big battle at the start. So yeah, Picard Season 3 is not doing that badly right now. This is actually a massive improvement. It's interesting, it's focused, and it's not stupid or woke. So, massive credit to the writers, massive credit to the director. Absolutely great show so far. We're only 2 episodes in, but again, it was just great to watch. And the fact I love watching every scene, and I'm not just getting pissed off at every scene, which usually happens with Picard. But yeah, that's the end of my review. If you like this review, give it a like. If you dislike the review, give it a dislike. And if you like my content, do think about subscribing. And if you have anything to talk about, comment down below. Entertainment World Soldier, bye.